Okay, Precalc students, this is example 10 from your notes. You can read the problem. I'm going to draw it out. We have a boardwalk and some shore. There's 210 feet separating it. We have a man that is walking on the shore, and he is trying to get to his umbrella. It says that he is exactly 750 feet away from his umbrella, and he is going to walk for a portion of the time on the boardwalk, and for a portion of time he is going to walk on the sand. He wants to get there in exactly 4 minutes and 45 seconds. That translates to 240 plus 45 seconds, or 285 seconds. So we need to come up with some expressions here to work this out. Namely, right now I'm going to write down some variables. We're going to call this x. So I need to know this entire distance here to be able to name the portion that he walks on the boardwalk. Well, as you can see, we have a right triangle, and I can take that right triangle and I can use the Pythagorean theorem. So I have 200, whoop, try that again. I have 210 squared plus, we'll call it b squared, is equal to 750 squared. If you solve for b in that scenario, you come up with b is equal to 720. So this whole distance is 720, which means the distance in red is going to be 720 minus x. So if we add those two together, 720 minus x plus x, we get 720. So those are two expressions that relate those entire distances. The distance that he walks along the boardwalk, we are going to, or along the shore, the sand, we are going to call y. So we have, again, boardwalk distance, and we have sand distance. Those are the two that he's going to travel. We're wondering time. We know that distance is equal to rate times time, or distance divided by time is rate. We also know that distance divided by rate is equal to time. Those are three equations we need to be able to use. This is talking about total time. I'm looking for his distance. I am also trying to write down the rates. So we can set this up. We can set this up very easily. Watch. We can set up his board time. We can set up his sand time. And we can set up his total time. His total time is, again, 285 seconds. His board time is equal to his distance divided by his rate. His distance is 720 minus x on the board divided by his rate, which is 4 feet per second on the boardwalk. 4 feet per second. You know, his rate on the board, or on the his rate on the sand is 2 feet per second. So his sand time will be y is the distance that he travels on the sand divided by his rate, which is 2. Now we have an equation we can solve. As you notice, we have y, though. We need to solve for x. As I look up to this green triangle up here, I need to write an expression related to x for y, namely that x squared plus 210 squared is equal to y squared. Square root both sides, and you have square root of x squared plus 210 squared is equal to y. So I can now substitute that in. I have a new equation that relates all the portions in terms of x. Namely that 720 minus x over 4 plus square root of x squared plus 210 y squared over 2 is equal to 285. That's what I have. I want to get rid of fractions, so I'm going to multiply through by 4. And when I do, 4's cancel out here. I have 720 minus x plus 2 times the square root of x squared plus 210, 20 squared, is equal to 1,140. I need to gather all my terms onto one side that aren't the square root. So I subtract the 720, I add the x. Subtract the 720, add the x. If I do that, I get a new equation, and it is 2 times the square root of x squared plus 210 squared equals x plus 420. I would now like to square both sides. When I square these, I get 4 times this times x squared plus 210 squared. When I remove that square root, remember I have to square the 2 to get the 4, equals, when I FOIL this out, I get x squared plus 840x plus 420, that squared. Well, time to gather everything on one side and solve. So let's write this all out. 4x squared plus, let's see what that number is. 210 squared times 4. 176,400 equals x squared plus 840x plus, now I'm going to take 420 and square it. 176,400. That is very convenient as they will cancel off. As I subtract 1 from each side, they go away. I'm left in the equation of 3x squared minus 840x equals 0. What is the greatest common factor? It is 3x. Take out a 3x, you're left with x minus 840 divided by 3 is 280 equals 0. I have solutions at 0 and 280. We know that 0 is not the correct one. We can cancel it off because it takes them more than 0 time. We created an extra solution. Our solution for x is 280. Let's go back to the problem and use it. The question is, how far should he walk on the boardwalk before veering off? Well, x is equal to 280 we solved for. So that means that the distance on the boardwalk, which I'll now mark in green, is equal to 720 minus that x value. So I'll go back to it. 720 minus the 280 is equal to 440. So, again, to answer the question, how far must he walk on the boardwalk before veering off in order to reach it in exactly 4 minutes 45 seconds? That distance would be, as we just figured out, I forgot it, 440 feet. That is your final answer, and good luck as you try the problems.